Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Motorhead Garage is presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Thanks for tuning in to Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. A lot of folks out there are building resto mods, race cars, strip street cars, and they love the build, but they hate doing the wiring. Brian, why are folks so afraid of wiring?
Wiring can be a very tedious and very scary item of a race car or street car build because they don't know what they're doing. It can be very damaging to the entire car.
So how have you at Race Wire Solutions made all of that simpler?
As you can see, we build a lot of custom one-off products or stocking items to fit a multitude of applications from off-road, resto mod, street cars, race cars, golf carts, ATVs, anything you can think of.
Everything that's fun and has wheels. Yeah, what's your bread and butter?
Switch panels and relay modules. That's a very common item. We do a lot of those. The turn signal combination relay kit in front of you, that's our #1 selling item. We sell a lot of those. That fits a lot of race car guys who need turn signals for classes and they want it on the column for ease of install.
Let's talk about the switch panels themselves. How customizable are those?
They are customizable from 2 to 4 switches on the roll cage. In-dash can be about anything. You fill out the order online, and then you can fill out the build sheet later as far as what the switches are, what the labels are, what they do. Everything is customizable to each and every customer.
You talked about the turn signals and the wiring harness that goes with it. How detailed is that and how easy are those instructions to follow?
Everything has a destination. Every order has a pinout sheet, so there is no guesswork as to where each and every wire goes. We don't want to have questions because we want to put everything on paper for them to connect. So they just have to land the wires where they go.
You make things simple, but I also like that Race Wire Solutions has some variety. You have choices here. You have the traditional rocker switches here, and tell me about the CAN bus switches.
We have new CAN bus keypad switch panels. They are either available in the roll cage mount like this one here that light up when you turn it on, or we have the in-dash switch panel there. For a lot of guys that go with the in-dash mount, they change colors as you turn them on.
Which is a huge bonus at night. A lot of drag racing takes place on the strip at nighttime.
Correct. The street rod version has turn signals built into it with parking lights, headlights high and low. The turn signals will self-cancel if somebody would like that option, or we could go with the full race version here, and then it has the dome lights built into the bottom of the box.
And you have a different style rocker switch over there.
This is what everybody's known for years. This is the old school switch panel. These are just, there's no labels on them. They just are what they are. They're lit up. We do sell a lot of these as well for guys that have bracket cars. They're very popular with the bracket industry.
Data acquisition is huge these days with every kind of race car. And a lot of times you have to go under the dash to find the port to plug into. How have you simplified that process too?
We have 3 different data ports. We have single data, and dual data with a USB charging port and a voltmeter. A lot of guys, you go with this version there, so that way they can charge their phones going down the highway, but they still have 2 data ports for a Holley EFI or a dash, radio, a lot of different options as far as the data ports.
Looking through your website at racewiresolutions.com, I see a ton of products. You've got a huge variety. What if I can't find something that suits my specific need?
Give me a call. We have a lot of items. We have stuff that's not even online. So everything has been developed from things that we needed, wiring cars in-house. So that's where a lot of these items have developed from.
How do I know I'm getting quality from Race Wire Solutions?
Besides the keypads, which obviously I don't make the keypads, but everything else is made right here in Central Illinois.
And your background?
New product engineer. I've designed everything here, drawings, models, had everything CNC machined or cut. So that's where I do all the design.
And you're not just an engineer, you're a forward-thinking engineer because of your new product development experience. How much do you listen to your customers, and how many of these come from their ideas as well?
A lot. I mean, if somebody has a good idea, we try to incorporate that into our new product, like the Hot Rod Series module. It's for customers who have a resto mod that need a harness for a vehicle, but they would like to use relays like your newer vehicle does. That covers everything from wipers, door switches, headlights, parking lights, turn signals, cigarette lighter, everything that your factory style resto mod would have. The next step up would be the Street Series module. This is for the street strip guys, more for like the turbo application that don't have anything factory in the vehicle and they want a switch panel. So we pair this module with that switch panel down there or with the keypad, so that way they can use switches to operate everything, all the relays on this panel.
And for the folks running something more complicated, there's the Power Core 3. A lot going on in there.
Yes, this module is for guys who have more circuits than what either of these two modules can handle. And that's where we start with a blank sheet of paper, design everything for each and every customer to match their needs.
From full-on race car down to your golf cart, they've got it handled at RaceWire Solutions. You can find them at racewiresolutions.com. And you can find more Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings when we come back.
Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by Rockauto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. BrothersTrucks.com, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration. Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system. And by Unique Style Racing, illuminate your presence.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. You know, Amsoil has been at the oil business in synthetics for about 50 years. And Len, you guys were the first to be API certified, and you're the best out there for a lot of different applications, and you're ever evolving. The UTV market is exploding right now, and you guys are all over that. What are you making for UTVs specifically?
Well, we took the same approach that we do to all of our products to build these. So we needed product first. So we looked at the machines that are out there and what's popular, and we started testing. You're gonna beat it up on the dyno, you're gonna get it in the field and do things to it because everybody buys these things, and first thing they do is they add tires, and it adds stress.
Tons of unsprung weight, and you gotta get that moving.
Right. The next thing they do is they take it to a place where you shouldn't and then drive it through there, or a hill that you shouldn't go up. So it's all these things you shouldn't do in high temperatures, and that's kind of what we built the product to perform to, because that way you're keeping everything lubricated, no metal parts are touching. So we took that approach, and it's been highly successful. Temperatures down, we're not seeing any wear type things. The engine's looking beautiful when we take them apart. So all of those things are looking good. So then we took the next step. If you've changed oil on these things, you understand that it can be a daunting task. It can be difficult. So we thought, what could we do to make that easier for the customer? And that's why you see these boxes of kits around here. We took those products that we already built, we put a filter in there, we added O-rings if required, and we put it all in a box with the application information on the side of it to make it as easy as possible for that customer to change their own oil.
And what did you find before you guys had the kits? Were folks just going longer without doing it? Did they have to take it to the dealership?
That's what was going on. You're exactly correct. Either they were waiting in line at a dealership, which is less time riding, or they would struggle their way through it, but it was always some pain point that they didn't like. So we thought, well, let's try and do something to make it easier for them to sell.
Well, the oil change kit's not the only thing Amsoil does for UTVs, so you've got a whole line of products.
That's correct. So we look at the machine holistically, and then we bring in the things like the transmission fluid and the differential fluid. And in certain situations, one fluid will handle both. So yeah, we've got a full line. We have antifreeze, all of the viscosities of oil that you would need, including the filters as well. So we try to be all-encompassing for these machines to make it as easy and convenient for the customer as possible.
Amsoil, you guys are masters of synthetics. Why are synthetic oils better?
That's a long answer, but the short version of that answer would be the oil itself just holds up better to different things like heat and stress. When you add heat and stress to a situation where that requires lubrication, if the oil is not set up properly like a wood pile, that's how the molecules kind of set up in there, you can have problems and metal starts to touch together and you get wear. So you get a nice even layering of all the lubrication protection that allows you to stress it and run the heat up and do all those different types of things. And that's why you're seeing this large move to synthetics.
Well, you can get the most out of your vehicle. You can make it last longer. It's a big investment. You might as well. Check them out at amsoil.com. For our friends up in Canada, amsoil.ca. If you have a high-performance vehicle and you're looking for more performance, of course, you can change the cam, the gearing. You can add power with a turbo or a supercharger. But, Joey, that's only half the equation. What's the other bit of that?
You can throw all the money you want at hard parts in a car, but if the programming isn't dialed in right, you're not going to get anywhere.
But why is the tuning so elusive to a lot of folks?
You know, it takes a lot of reading, a lot of knowledge to really get in there and start editing. There's a lot of material to cover in there.
And you do the tuning remotely for folks all around the world. What kind of information do you need from them before you actually dial in their tune?
have to get injector size, the cam specs, engine specs, and what all they've done mod-wise, if they've put a cold air intake, if they've got headers, anything like that. That way I can kind of get a base tune in, get a good starting point, and then we can start data logging from there.
What's the range of clients that you have?
A little bit of everything. We see daily drivers all the way to track cars.
The daily driver part of that, maybe they've hopped up the vehicle and it's a little tricky for them to get the tune.
Yeah, that's where I come in. I'll get the idle right to where you're not dying at stop signs, to where things aren't going sideways when you try to take it out.
See that a lot of car shows.
Yeah.
What are they going to notice once they have a tune from JL Remote Tuning?
It'll run a whole lot smoother. It'll drive a whole lot closer to a factory car, and it'll make better power.
And how are you able to do that? What kind of things can you change in the tune?
Well, go through and dial in idle RPM and airflow, the fueling, and the spark. The spark has a lot to do with the idle quality.
What kind of equipment do you use to actually do the tune remotely?
Mostly it just takes my laptop, but on their end, they also need a laptop and HP tuners.
And why do you prefer the HP?
They have pretty much the best support and software and ease of use. It's simpler to use than some of the other things.
Once folks come to you for a tune, how often do they come back and under what circumstances might they come back to you?
Normally, say they get headers and then they decide they want more, they put a cam on, they come back, I've got to dial in the idle and a couple other things to get it right. Or say they go crazy, add a supercharger, a turbocharger, or a shot of nitrous, and I'll be seeing them shortly after that.
What are some of the mistakes folks make when they're doing a tune themselves?
I see a lot with not touching up the injector timing. When you change the cam specs, you have to back the injector timing off or you will chase it and it'll just never be right.
A lot of folks are doing remote tunes out there and a lot in person as well. Why should we go to JL Remote Tuning?
Everything I've ever done, I don't have any complaints. My business does very well. And say that something gets missed, that happens every now and then, I always stand behind my word.
JL Remote Tuning is tuning vehicles all over the country and all over the world. What's the website, Joey?
It's fb.me/JL Remote Tuning.
We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coating, so keep it right here.
Dragonfire Tools, quality affordable storage. Proud sponsor of our DragonfireTools.com studio.
At DragonfireTools.com, you can get a workbench that's over 9 feet long, or if you don't have that much space, or you don't need that much space, 7 feet, Lou. And this one has 17 drawers. Why is this one so popular?
This is our 17-drawer Midnight Pro Series workbench, and the reason why this one is so popular in the 7-foot series is because of these 41-inch wide drawers, Dave. They give you a lot of storage capacity, and we also have a wide deep drawer there for even your tallest sockets.
Well, let's talk about sockets now. How do they fit in the more shallow drawer?
You can still stand deep well sockets up even in the shallow drawers, and the drawers pull out 100%. So the stuff in the back of the drawer, you're going to be able to get it from the front or the side of the drawer.
I've used a few cheap toolboxes in my time, and if you overload the drawers, they're hard to open, they start to rack, they might be hard to close. How have you solved that problem at Dragonfire Tools?
So we're using heavy-duty rails on these drawers. The single rail drawers are rated for 200 pounds, and the deep double rail drawers are rated for 400 pounds.
And what's the construction? What are these workbenches made out of?
So we have a 14-gauge 304 stainless steel top on them. We have a 14-gauge tubular welded steel powder-coated frame. We have a 16-gauge galvanized steel drawer bodies, and we have 14-gauge drawer fronts with 14-gauge 304 stainless steel handles also.
The quality is there. The pros love these things from DragonfireTools.com. You can go there and get one for yourself. Enter the promo code MOTORHEAD to get yourself a discount and free shipping. When I say engine additives, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking snake oil, but that is not the case, Joel, when it comes to RVS Technology. You guys have been around for 20 plus years. How do you stay relevant after all that time?
That's a good question. I think the number one answer is that we're unique in the marketplace and we are not an oil additive. We're an engine additive, transmission additive, and power steering additive. We do not change the properties of the oil.
So what happens? How does RVS Technology work?
We like to call RVS to cure for metal friction surfaces. So our product works in metal-to-metal friction surfaces where heat is created and it adheres to those surfaces, creating a mirror-like surface that's harder than metal. It reduces friction, bringing the added side benefits of increased power, reduces fuel economy, reduces emissions, and it gives your engine much longer lasting life.
How does it add life to the engine?
Well, the coating is so hard that once you apply our treatments into the engine or mechanism being treated, you'll start to see that it really doesn't wear down. And you'll see that by the oil not getting as dirty. There'll be less contaminants in the engine. So we see up to 50% longer engine life out of components treated with our products.
Amazing. And in this day and age, folks are worried also about fuel mileage. So
Exactly.
how do you improve fuel mileage with RVS?
It's twofold. If we have a vehicle that has more mileage or more wear on it, then our product, which differentiates from everything else in the marketplace, is that it can actually restore new material into the engine and components. So if we have a worn engine that has, let's say, 100,000 miles, 120,000 miles, it can actually build new material. We'll get increased compression, less blow-by, and then also the added benefit of the coating being so friction resistant, you get that benefit as well. It all adds up together where you use a lot less fuel, you lower your oil temperatures, you get more horsepower out of the engine, and better efficiency as a whole, less vibration, and that all adds up to all of the benefits that you can imagine.
Who's using RVS Technology products?
RVS is good for anybody. You can use it in big trucks for your professionals out there in the workforce. You can use it in your lawnmower. You can use it in your motorcycle, and most of our consumers, you use it in your car. Who doesn't want an extra 2, 3, 4 miles per gallon on their vehicle right now when gasoline is the price is through the roof?
No doubt. Here, you don't just have the engine additive here. What else did you bring along with you?
So we also have the power steering additive. This works great when you're all hydraulic power steering systems. It treats up to 2 quarts. Our transmission treatment is extraordinary. It works in all transmission types. Your continuously variable transmission CVTs, your double clutches, your regular automatic torque converter transmissions, and also manual transmissions.
I know the question everyone's dying to ask, how often do you need to put it in your vehicle?
That's the biggest benefit of RVS. Once you do treatments, depending on your application, it lasts up to 60,000 miles. So a very long time. You only do it once and you're done.
It's been used for 20 years all over the world in race cars and cars on the road as well. It's going to be great for your vehicle. Find it at rvs-usa.com. And you can find more Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings when we come back.
Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radio since 1977. Detailed Juice, detailing simplicity reimagined. Amped Off-Road, stand out from the crowd. And by Dragonfire Tools, workbenches and toolboxes all in one.
One of the things I really love about Rockauto.com is they have a lot of kits, Tom, and that means there's no unpleasant surprises when you're working on the car. If you forget a fastener or a bolt or something like that, you're going to have it all with you if you got a kit. What are some of the other advantages of kits that come from Rockauto.com?
Well, here's an example of where we've matched parts from the same manufacturer so they're optimized to work together. These rotors are coated with a special coating that resists corrosion all through the cooling passages. And we paired them with brake pads from the same manufacturer that are designed to bed in well with a coated rotor so you don't have unusual squeaking or dust or anything.
And squeaking and dust are the two culprits. If you have something mismatched, you can keep the old pad on there, sure, but it may not mesh perfectly with the
Yeah, whenever you replace rotors, you want to replace the pads too. No matter what rotors you put on, always get new pads because they need to bed in with the one rotor that they're going to work with their whole lifespan.
It's not just the brakes, some other kits as well.
Yeah, here's another good example is suspension. The manufacturers come up with a system of the shocks, the struts, the springs, the mounts that are all optimized to work for a particular model, maybe to improve something that the original manufacturer didn't do well or adjust the right height up or down. So yeah, get a kit where everything's matched to work together optimally.
Of course, there's the ease of installation when it comes to a kit, but there's some other advantages too, aren't there?
Well, sure, you could be saving money on getting all the parts together versus piecemeal, and then you could be saving money down the road if you replace everything that needs to be replaced versus mixing old and new parts. You put a rusty old suspension part with a new part, the whole system's going to last less time.
Well, they have all the parts your car will ever need, and they have them at reliably low prices. Run to rockauto.com. One of the things I love most about visiting New Hampshire Oil is to see how they innovate, how they're constantly evolving, and how they're always changing their products to keep their customers happy. And Joe, you're working here on the viscometer. What are you brewing?
We're actually checking the viscosity. It's part of our quality control program.
Excellent. And once you test that here and some other characteristics, how do you then test the durability or the longevity of your product?
So we're going to test for viscosity, we're going to test for sag and stability. Then we're going to put it into our B117 testing cabinet, which is recognized as worldwide standard for testing. That's going to actually apply a measured heated salt mist fog over the metal chips that we put in there, and we then can gauge the performance of our products against previous batches and competitors.
How important is it for you to keep moving, to keep innovating like this?
It's in my DNA. I mean, there's so much technology out there, and I'm always curious to see if we can utilize it to improve the product.
Of course, you have the lab here. You have a team of chemists that works for you as well. But you also have the biggest laboratory, maybe in the world, the entire New England region.
That's really the only test that counts. It's real-world testing. How does it perform on your vehicle? And so, yes, we monitor the vehicles that come through here on a regular basis.
Well, you can see their products, you can see how they develop them, you can see what they can do for you at NHOilUndercoating.com. That is going to do it for this edition of Motorhead Garage. We thank you for tuning in. If you, by the way, have created a product that you want to see on Motorhead Garage, email Jeff at masterstv.com, and you can be right here in our studio. We hope you join us when we do it once again next week, and from our entire crew here, we'll see you next time on Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. So long.